This question comes up a lot. When should I take Social Security? And
Yeah, it's
honestly, it's a very unique answer for everybody.
yeah, it's actually when to take Social Security is probably one of the more controversial subjects that come up, in our
Hmm.
business, you know, which probably denotes how exciting our business can be. But nonetheless, it is a hot subject, and I think one of the problems that people have is that they may be right for their situation, but they may be wrong for somebody else's situation,
Yeah,
right?
there's no one answer fits everybody's situation.
Yeah, and I have some, we prepared this because we got asked this question by a client. So there's no perfect answers. All right. This is really important to understand that, we're going to show you some case histories here and you can see why there's different answers based on the different
And the thing
situations.
is, the reason there's no perfect answer is because you can't tell me you're going to live to 80, 84, and 89 days.
Yeah.
There's no definitive time that you're going to pass away.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to run this to figure out what's a good situation based on your factors.
Yeah. You can start Social Security at 62. So if you don't start it at 62, then you could have taken the money. And so theoretically, you start later, you get more, which is great. But in order to kind of make up what you didn't take, you have to live to a certain age to make that work. And none of us know if we're going to make it to that age.
Yeah.
If we get to that age, now we're at break even. So we're, it would be the same. If I took it at 67 or 62, I've now broken even on that at some point in my life. And everything past that, I'm making more money than if I would have taken it at
Hmm.
62. Same thing for 67 versus 70, however you want to look at it. And so longevity has a big piece of it. It is, to me, what do you want to plan for?
Yeah,
A
there's a
short life or a long life?
yeah, there's a lot of factors that actually
Hmm.
go into it. So
Yeah.
that's why it makes it so unique for each person.
Right, exactly right.
Um,
Okay, so let's take a look at some of those factors. Age and health. And,
yeah.
and we've had literal situations where people have told us, they don't expect to be here because of some disease, that they have. And so, you know, I've only heard that a few times. Most of the times where, the rest of us are in the dark as to what's going to happen there. But that's an issue, what's your family history like,
Yeah,
right?
if you have your grandparents that live to their mid 90s,
Right.
and you have that kind of longevity in your family, you're more likely to be kind of similar, especially with
Right.
the advancement of medical.
Right, exactly. Work status. So, are you still working or not? They take some of the Social Security back between your full retirement age, which is for most people now is
Hmm.
67, and 62. So you can make a certain amount. What is it? Around 20,000 right now that you can make
Yeah,
without having any impact to your Social Security. You don't lose it. You get it back later. It's still a benefit to work,
yeah.
but it's a little interesting. Yeah, then are you single, divorced, or married? Because that
I
has to
also
do with.
forgot to put on one of those. Are you widowed or not?
Oh yeah, widowed, exactly. So those are all factors that fit into, when you should take Social Security. What's the benefit amount? What's the benefit amount for each of you? If there's more than one of you,
Yeah.
that matters. Non-covered job, right? So
Yeah, are you
that's
gonna have any kind of like stipulation because you have a pension that you'll have a less of a benefit?
yeah, and then need. So 58% of Americans take Social Security at age 62, right? And if you look at the other factor there, that the average 65-year-old in America has $49,000, Social Security is basically something that isn't really an option to wait because it can't pay the bills. Maybe they lost a job or got laid off, and don't have the wherewithal to support themselves. And so Social Security starts, right? So those are factors. I'll put one other factor in there that what's your outlook on Social Security?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because one of the things that happens is some people take Social Security because they think it's going to go out of business.
Yeah, and that's been a feeling for a long time.
Right.
And I don't expect a reduction in benefits.
Mhm.
You maybe they'll reduce, how much the COLA goes up, or there'll be other reductions to the younger generations that are
Right.
funding Social Security. But I don't feel as a retiree that's getting Social Security or nearing Social Security age, there will be any kind of significant changes for you.
No, I used to, before the pandemic, attend a class about Medicare and Social Security, and we used to talk about that all the time. And one of the things that came up one time was somebody found a Time cover of a Time magazine from 1941
Hmm.
that Social Security was going to go out of business. So this has been going on for a really long time. I've had people tell me I'm taking it at 62 because I want to get what I can get while I can get it. Personally, I wouldn't put that in one of my factors because Social Security is way too important. When the overall average population doesn't have any money, this program is critical. Now, I agree with you. They're going to reduce benefits for, I mean, my father's full retirement age was 65, mine's 67. You know, maybe my kids or something
Yeah,
else, right?
maybe mine's closer to 70.
Right, exactly. So that's going to happen. But in terms of it disappearing or affecting you, so if you're 62 right now and you're worried about it going out of business, I wouldn't
Yeah,
personally.
because
But
the government understands that you make your decisions and you invest on these factors,
right,
and so you can't make a quick adjustment to a benefit change like that. So you
right.
need multiple a decade or so to like
Yeah, and just
actually.
just to be clear, if you take it at 62, they actually reduce your benefit
Hmm.
by 35%.
Yep.
And so if you go the other way, if you wait till full retirement age, your benefit will grow by 35% versus taking it at 62.
Hmm.
It's not really, but that's how it works. But then after full retirement age, let's say 67, it grows at 8% a year. Plus, you get the cost of living
Yep.
increases too. So that's a really good rate of return. And then you have this bigger dollar amount at age 68, 70, whatever it is. And now any cost of living increases are on a bigger dollar amount, and it can really roll forward. Okay, so some of the risks: you die early, right? And you didn't take it early, so you missed out on taking some of
Potential
that.
benefits, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So you died before your break-even date, basically,
Hmm.
and we'll show you what that means. Or you live long, and you took it at 62 or whatever before full retirement age.
Or you took it at 67 versus you lit
Oh, or
at
70. Yeah,
70.
exactly
Yeah.
right. You took it earlier than 70 in the end. You're going to have a smaller benefit, right? And again, personally, I look at that and I personally would be looking at the living long only because my experience as a financial planner, the most difficult thing to do is to make your money last long
Hmm.
time. So if you retire at 65 and live to 95, that's 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, if you die at 75, it's not a good scenario, but financially, it's a lot easier to get through that 10 years than it is
Yeah,
the
because
30.
the bigger risk for a financial planner is you're planning for longevity. That's the one
Yeah,
we're more scared of.
it's what we work on all the time is just some assumption because again, we've seen it literally. I remember a 93-year-old calling me up, taking out the last money out of his IRA, and he's like, Tom, I lived too long, and he didn't live too long. He just didn't have the money established to make it work all the way through that time frame. And so, maximizing Social Security can help in that scenario
Mhm.
as far as that goes. Okay, so let's go through a base case here. We got John and Jane, and again, some of the small print here, but everything's the same. They're the same age, right? They have the same benefit,
Yep.
2,500. How old are they?
61.
61. Perfect. Okay, so they're looking at, okay, next year I'm going to be 62. Should I be taking Social Security or not?
Yeah, and again, this is just in a vacuum. It's not looking at your financial plan,
Yes,
your assets outside of the Social Security. So it's a very kind of, you know, it's just a case study.
that's
It
right.
doesn't really live up to like a full person's life.
Yeah, for us personally, we like to do these Social Security analysis inside of a financial plan where we have everything else. We have all the outflows, we have all the inflows, we have all the assets, we got how they're invested, we got all the tax situations, Roth, non-Roth, 401k, all of that. And then you can kind of really organize how you should do Social Security. And so this is a Social Security analyzer, as you mentioned, in a vacuum. So that's a good point, but still useful to look at. And it's amazing to me how many people make choices on Social Security without going through the full process of figuring out what really works for them
The one
personally.
thing is with Social Security, you're taking a snapshot, and you really can't go back.
Right.
You have like 12 months, I believe, and then you have to pay back all the benefits, which is a kind of a painful process in that itself.
Yeah.
If you want to kind of reverse and take a benefit later.
Yeah, that would be brutal. So then just a couple of assumptions. Cost of living increase is going to go up 2%, and we're picking average life expectancy out of this program, male 84, females 87,
Yeah.
right? So those are in there. And so then it spits out these scenarios, and you can look at kind of the bottom line, lifetime benefit. So both of you take it at John and Jane both take it at 62. They get, if they live to those ages, they're going to get $1.3 million,
Yeah.
right? You look at both of you taking in number 2 here. John claims later at 70, and Jane claims early. So she takes it at 62.
And he takes it 70.
And he takes it at 70. They get $1.5 million. So that's better than taking it at 62. Again, if they both live to those ages. Let's say they both take it at 67. That's even a little better. Not a lot better.
Yeah.
I might, if I had to choose between 2 and 3, it's about $20,000.
I'd probably go for 2.
I'll probably go for 2. Why not? Let Jane take it early, take some pressure off, that type of thing. So, but number 4 is just the opposite,
Jane's at 67.
Right.
And then John's at 70.
Yeah, so not taking it at 62, but she's taking it at 67. That's bigger. That's $1.6 million. That's starting to get to be big enough that you might think about that one over 2 or 3. And then the maximum benefit, again, living to those ages, is age 70 for withdrawal on both of them, which is $1.6 million and a bit more than the number 4. So, it's run thousands of scenarios to kind of come up with these.
It usually runs on each month. It kind of because every month that you don't take Social Security, you get a little bit more.
Yeah, that's important to note that, the 8% is 0.75% a month. And so every month, past full retirement age, when you get that 8% growth, even if you just wait for a couple months, you're going to get a 0.75% every month on your benefit. That's still worthwhile if you can. All right, so let's take a look at a different scenario. Now, this one, we've got an age difference.
Yeah,
and
John's 51 and Jane is 61. So it's a 10-year age difference.
10-year age difference. And so what happens then? What are the maximums? And again, I won't go through all of these. We'll just look at, it's right above my head here, so I'm sorry I'm in the way. But the maximum benefit payout is if Jane takes it at 70, right? And John takes it at 65 in this case. So different than the last one. The last one said 70 for both.
And it's a bit unusual because it's 65, which is usually you think about 62, 67,
right,
and then or 70 is kind of.
And again, it's running thousands of scenarios, and this is the one that maximizes it for them, assuming they live to these ages.
Yeah,
right?
84 and 87.
Right, and so that's $1.8 million. Okay, again, part of the reason that's higher than the last slide is because somebody's living longer. John's 10 years younger. So it's not so much important to compare one scenario to another. It's important to compare all of these 6 scenarios, right? So that you can see which one's the best. And maybe something that's really close that you still think is, worthwhile. It is kind of interesting. Look, you actually get less if you both wait till 70 there, number 5, right?
Yeah.
Again, the reason that everybody's having arguments over when to take Social Security is because it's different for each person as to when, in each situation, in each couple, whatever it is, when to take Social Security. Okay, so one more kind of run through here, another scenario. Now, here's where there's the same age. They're both 61, but they just have a benefit difference.
Yeah.
And so John go ahead.
John's $2,500 a month, while Jane is only $1,000. So you start to qualify for spousal benefits.
So we did the first one; everything was the same. Second one, difference in age. Third one here is just a difference in benefit, right? And so again, if you look at number 5, maximum benefit is Jane takes it at 67, John takes it at 70, and that's the best, total return. Again, living to 84, 87. We haven't changed that as far as that goes. Now, again, there are other options we can choose. We can choose short lifespan and try, if somebody says, I don't know if I'm going to live that long, we can try the short lifespans and come up with the optimal, scenario for withdrawal. If they've got, I have a client that all 4 parents, lived over 100 years old. The only one I've had, but you got to think, wow, there's some longevity potentially in that couple, right? So maybe we'd even go longer. You can choose.
Yeah, you can put a custom age in there.
Yeah, you can choose. In that case, 100 if you wanted to see what the maximum benefit would be. as far as that goes. So that's, again, there's no one, answer that works perfectly for everybody.
Yeah, I think this is something that you should sit down and take your time with. You know, it's not a decision to take lightly or take just over a weekend. I think it needs a little time and research. And it's always good to go to, if you're a financial advisor, and be like, hey, I'm thinking about Social Security. How can we maximize it?
Yeah, that's right. Because we can run this program for people, and then we can also run, the maximizer inside of our financial plan. We use Money Guide Pro for that, and we can kind of see, what that is, and you have to, if you're going to delay it, you have to be able to. So that last factor of need is pretty important. Most of our clients are our clients because they do have some resources and they have the potential, not all, but they have the potential to wait on it if they need to. And so then you want to see, that's where the financial plan, running it inside the financial plan makes sense, because what what's happening here with this particular program is that looking at it without looking at your other assets.
Yeah, what's your opportunity cost?
Yeah, and so what are you withdrawing from while you're waiting?
Hmm.
How much impact does that have? You might get a different answer
Yeah.
depending. You got everything in taxable accounts, you got everything in tax deferred accounts, whatever that might be. There's different scenarios that play out. Your what rate of return are you getting on your other assets that you'd be withdrawing from in order to let your Social Security continue to grow? And so maybe it makes sense in those cases if you have a really good rate of return and you think that that might continue. There's one other scenario we didn't cover here too, but it's also possible, and that is where you take it early and keep the money and just invest it,
Hmm.
right? And so the weird thing about that is that we've never seen anybody do it. And lots of people talk about it, and I'm sure somebody has, and I'm sure somebody that's watching this will. I'm just telling you, with what, 6,000 financial
It's
plans?
a rarity.
Yeah, it's a zero so far. But nonetheless, what that does do, it is interesting. It depends on what rate of return you're expecting to get on that money. And so if you put a real high expectation, then
Yeah, you could possibly beat out the.
you can beat it out. And basically, what happens is it makes your break even age older, because now you've got this money. So the comparison of take at 62 and invest versus take at 67 or 70, because I've invested this, now my break even
It
moves
could,
out.
yeah, it could, especially even if your return is slightly below
Yeah.
the rate that Social Security increases.
Yeah, I think if you put in a 6% rate of return, it works pretty well. And I don't have any problem with any of these scenarios. I don't have an axe to grind. We don't get paid more if you take it at 70 or 60. I don't have any, bias on it. What we're just trying to do is make sure that you don't run out of money.
Hmm.
Period. That is the goal. And so what's the best scenario? In order to make sure that somebody doesn't run out of money. And so, again, if somebody approached me and wanted to do the investment part, I'd be more than happy to try to make that work. It's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with it. I think, again, you do need to kind of accommodate your own, feelings, as far as what you feel about what might be happening too. Look at the numbers, and then kind of factor in your own thought process as far as that goes. All right, so that was a pretty good day today. Really excited to be able to dig into the Social Security. We've been getting a lot of questions about it, both in client reviews. People have been asking us to do more. We have 2 videos. Maybe we can link them in the comments or something when we put
Yeah.
this out. On Social Security, I think they're our most watched videos and most commented videos. A lot of, kind of harsh comments, of course, because it's a controversial subject. Don't get us wrong. We're not advocating. If the numbers say you should take it at 70, that's what the numbers say. I mean,
Yeah.
just that's the way it is. If they say you should take it at 65, okay. I just want to have a concept of how to maximize the situation, and we can test anything. I mean, literally anything, any ages, any returns. We can test any scenario and see how it works out and try to find the optimal scenario, and maybe even the optimal scenario within the realm of what you're really interested in trying to do,
Hmm.
right? So anyway, that's what's happening. Glad everybody could kind of join us today. I think these subjects are super important, and I believe personally, Social Security is a really important, vehicle altogether. And we get these young kids that we do plans for, and they're like, "Oh, don't even count Social Security." Well, you talk to somebody who's already retired, they realize how important it is.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a really nice cash flow, especially when the markets are going up and down, which they do.